These are my 3 degrees from Architecture Uni, and today I'm going to go through each one and show you exactly what work is involved in each degree. I'll do this by going through each module on the back and explain briefly what was involved and what I learnt in each module. That's if I can remember, because if I can't remember it, then it wasn't worth it, was it? So that will lead to the end of the video where we can conclude, Architecture Uni, was it worth it? So let's start off with the first one. This is BA Honours, Architecture, International. So I did an international course. It's like the only one in the UK international. So you did projects abroad and stuff. I'll show you in the modules. University Huddersfield, I did all my degrees. This is UK based, so it's a 3-year degree. Okay, first one was Introduction to History and Theory. So these were quite enjoyable lectures about history of architecture, like Rome, Italy, Egypt, things like that. I still got one of the books that was recommended on the course here somewhere.
I remember our assignment was to just draw a building from another country. That was it, I think.
So you learn a lot through that. That was quite enjoyable. The next one, Basic Principle Design. So that's all about visual proportion, hierarchy, space, repetition, balance, rhythm, emphasis, things like that. All those fancy words and how they make a building look good and make a building work. So that's one of the most important modules on there. You learn all that stuff, basic principles in lectures, then you apply that to your design project. Doing a design project based on those design principles that you've learned. So that's basically the project work you do, basically. Next one, Introduction to Society and Environment. We went to Paris for like 5 days. Started university September, then we went to Paris in January, February for 4 days. So that was really good. And I remember doing urban design. We got given an area in Paris to study. We had to study that in groups, and then we had to design a project individually in that location. So mine was a bus shelter. Building construction, yeah, that's when you start having lectures about how buildings put together, doing construction details. So your first project, I think it was a folly we had to do, and you had to do construction details for that. So that's difficult, but a lot of it is you have to research yourself and learn. Building structures, yeah, that's structural engineering, you have lectures on that.
Our first ever assignment was to draw timber structural connections for our project. Sometimes you have to do a small calculation that no one understood.
There's a lot to learn. Built environment, I'm sure that's environmental aspects like ventilation, and I don't know what project that was. Information technology and CAD. We did a small module on, I'm sure it was ArchiCAD we used, it just came out at that time, 1996. So we had to model Villa Savoye in ArchiCAD. Introduction to Design with Tropical Climate. Yeah, we had lectures on tropical design. That was really interesting. That was part of the international course. So we were preparing for the trip to, I think it was Jordan we went to. So we had to design something in a tropical climate. You learn a lot from shading and everything. Discovering place. Now that was urban design. We had to design something in an urban environment. Not a lot of people don't realize this, but even if you're not that great at drawing, they teach you how to sketch and draw. So you have 1 day a week sketching in your sketchbook, and they had an art teacher showing you how to sketch properly. Or you'd go outside of the class and you'd sketch around the streets or something like that. Ergonomics and psychology of space. That's all about the human body, the scale and proportion of everything, like counters, cupboards, heights of things, sizes of things, those kind of things. And the psychology of space was the interior design course I think we did. So we had to do a proper interior design project. So I think it was a cafe I did. We had to design that. So that's a proper interior design module that was. Framework of design process, that's probably the design stages like feasibility study, concept, construction drawings, those things. I did a video on Skillshare about that. You can watch that here if you want. This is the 2nd year now. Principles of design again, so that's your design projects again. That's what you get your mark based on, learning those principles of design. Building construction 3, so that's more details again. Construction drawings for your design module. So you design a building, then you do construction detail for it. That's your coursework for that. Building structures again, that's another drawing or task you have to do for structures related to your design project. So it'd be like have to draw the structure or something like that. Architecture and development overseas. I think that's preparation for the design project we were going to do overseas. We went to Jordan in the 2nd year. Housing design. See, we now this had to design a house. It's the only time you design a house. Everyone thinks architects design houses all the time, but this is the first time we're just designing a house. Everybody wants to design a bloody house, don't they? Apart from me. Application of design principles. That's applying obviously what you've learned. So you've learned the design principles now. You can apply them to projects. I don't know, I can't remember how that worked, but you get the idea. So that was just the first year. Now the 2nd year of the degree It looks like there's only 2 modules here. Developing design skills and technical design skills. So you're probably just working on your design project for the whole year and doing some technical construction lectures as well. I can't remember much of it. And then the 3rd year for that, history and theory of urban design. So we did a bit of urban design stuff.
So this was a study of Kevin Lynch, a famous urban designer, his theory of nodes, landmarks, districts, paths and edges.
Appropriate technology. You're learning technology about your project or whatever task they gave you. A degree, field and study preparation here, that's for the trip to Jordan. You learn how the culture works for the country. Then the overseas field trip. They went for a month. So we went on excursions every single day. We went on lectures in the University of Jordan every day. We learnt loads. We had to learn how to design in a Middle Eastern environment, hot, dry climate. That was really good. I learned a lot from that, and we worked a hell of a lot. I went to lectures every day. I went on trips every day to the city and around. Went to visit all these buildings. And on top of that, we were doing a design project as well. Like we had to have reviews and stuff all the time. CDP for non-European cultural regions. So I can't even remember what CDP stands for, but that's the final design project of your degree. I'm developing design skills. There are 2 in 1 there. Did a project, I remember, when we were in Jordan. Design a master plan together in groups, and then there was the individual project for your building. So that was the final projects for the year. So that was the first degree. Then I worked for a couple of years and then went back to do my diploma. It was 2 years full time. So look at the size of it compared to that. It's not as much stuff. So the first one is Advanced Principles of Design. So that's similar to the other ones, but more advanced. You've learnt a lot, you've been working and stuff, so you know a bit more about design. So you're designing a project basically. I think they gave us a cultural centre like straight away, and we had to design it, and they only had like 2 weeks to do it. And that's crazy after you just come back to university. Advanced technology, same thing again. You're getting lectures about technology, then you have to do technical drawings for your design. Professional studies, now this is preparation for your license or your registration, so that's preparing you about that. An architect in practice, practice management, how to run projects, those kind of things. Building economics, that was a good one. That was difficult actually. That was all about cost, because we never done anything about cost. And we suddenly had all these lectures about cost, and we had to do, I think there was an exam about that. It was really stressful because we never really have exams. It's usually all coursework. So you learn a bit on that, but it's very difficult to understand that was. I didn't really learn much from that. I should have put more of that in the first year, I think. Study of computers. So this is another CAD thing. So we had a module on 3D Studio Max, which was good. Everybody gets excited about these CAD things at uni. I don't know why. Diploma field study preparation. So we went to Arizona in the US on this, so that's preparation for that.
So we had to design a building before we went to Arizona. This was an architect's office in Tucson.
We're learning how to design in a desert, those kind of things, and the culture of the US and how buildings are designed, stuff like that. Next one is application of design principles. I think this is when you're doing the project abroad. We had to study the location, same as like the first degree actually. We had to do site analysis in Tucson, Arizona, and then we had to design a building in that area as well. So this was all individual work, but you work together as well as people in the class. Overseas building design project, yeah, that was the project we had to do. Spend most of your time just doing your project work now. So I did a youth hostel in Tucson, Arizona. So you learn a lot from that, and especially designing another country. That's really beneficial for me, especially since now I live abroad. So this really helped me. Waterfronts project, yeah, actually we did that first. That was the cultural centre we had to design near the water in Leeds, which is near university I went to in Huddersfield. So you learn a lot from that because that's your first design project you've done after you've been working for a couple of years. So, and then the lecturers teach you stuff, you have all these tutorials and everything. Dissertation, no, Diploma of Architecture, oh God, we had to do a dissertation, this is horrible. This, I didn't like this. I think I chose architecture and film, how architecture influences film, how film influences architecture. I did a dissertation on that. It's a proper book you have to write. It's like, I can't remember how many words, but it's like I don't know if you learn much. You're just researching and reinterpreting stuff that you've researched, really. I don't know, it's stressful because you never done any writing before during all your degrees, and then you have to do this writing thing. At least you learn how to present something in a professional manner. Then design thesis, yeah, that was the final project. And this is it. This is the apartment complex I did in Cambridge. God, I hated it. I hated the site. I hated the project. I just wanted to get it done, and it dragged on. We spent I think we spent most of the year just working on this and the site analysis. Designing in Arizona, going back to England, I just didn't enjoy it as much, I think. I was just never happy with it. So make sure on your final project you pick a location and project type that you'll enjoy, because I couldn't really get into this at all. Architecture design thesis preliminary study. I think that's the site analysis we did, where you do a really thick A4, it was, site analysis, everything about the site. Oh God, it took ages, like photographs, like sound readings, the local architecture around the site, local culture. You have to put all this together in a presentable report, and it's massive. It's a lot of information, there's a lot of time spent on that. Like, the site analysis was a lot of work, but you realise after later on your work that how much is involved in the site analysis. But when you do projects nowadays, you don't really do much of a site analysis. You must spend a day or two on it, but here you spend like weeks doing this site analysis. It's crazy. So it's mostly project work for the second degree. Then part 3, it was my master's. This is when you've worked for a bit and then you go back to university. Sometimes some people get a diploma or post-diploma. Some people don't get a master's when they finish their architecture degree. I was lucky enough to get one, but it doesn't really matter. This was just one thing. Professional practice and management in architecture, just one module. So the master's was basically the registration to be an architect, to work at least 1 year and then record your work experience, and your work experience has to be spread out at different stages of design, like concept, technical design, construction, feasibility study, stuff like that. You have to have a bit of experience in everything basically, and then you can apply to do this course. You have lectures on professional practice and management in architecture, stages of design, how to run an office, how to run a project, those kind of things. The construction industry, what's going on, how an architect's role fits in the construction industry, how all the other consultants work together, an appointment of an architect, loads of stuff. Contracts, there's a lot about contract, not just contract for the architect and the client, but construction contracts between the construction company or the builder and the client, and all the clauses in the contract. Oh my God, all that stuff is completely irrelevant to my job, really, more or less. I never get involved in contract. But anyway, there's like 2 exams, like I think they're about 2.5 hours each, or maybe longer. And then if you pass those exams, one of them's a closed book exam, so you're not allowed to take any books. One of them's an open book exam, so you're allowed to take books with you, like questions like write a letter to the client saying that you blah 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 blah, accept the appointment, and what do you have to give them, an appointment document, stuff like that. Or you'll get questions on, like, something happens on site, there's an explosion in the site office, what do you do? Or they've dug up some ruins, historical ruins on site, what do you do? Like, things like that. Anything, they can ask you anything and you have to write something. You have like a bunch of questions like that. There's one exam we did, it was just like, I think it was like 2 hours, it was like 20 questions, just about anything. Like, and some of them is just simple things like, what is professionalism? You have to make sure that you can answer all those questions in 2 hours, 5 minutes on each question or something like that. Those exams were tough and stressful. I read so much for these exams. Never read so much in my life about the architect, the architect's role, how the architect works in the construction industry, those kind of things. Just reading. Anyway, I passed. But looking back, was it worth it? If I put all the modules side by side here, you see the first degree, so much there involved. It's 3 years that. First degree has a hell of a lot. You're doing so much work. They give you a lot of work in the first year. You're learning all these things. Second year was a bit, I failed my second year in my first degree. I had to repeat it. The second year is a bit of a funny one. Compared to the second degree was nothing. It's just project work for 2 years. They could have combined that in. It doesn't look like 2 years, it looks like 1 year. First year and second year were basically very similar. You're just doing project work most of the time. To do that in 5 years, I think it wasn't worth it. But the information is worth it. There's no way you should do that for 5 years. That's a bit of a waste of time. So it's worth it, yeah, but not 5 years. I think 3 years it would have been worth it. And then the third one, the part 3, to get licensed Personally, for me, getting the license is the best thing. You've actually finished, you can draw a line under it, you're an architect now, so that was worth it. If you do all this without doing the license, it's not worth it. It took me 10 years to do all this, 9 years I think. So if you're going to do this, make sure you go all the way and get the license and final degree. Then you can become an architect. In that case, it's worth it. And if you don't do all that, then it's not worth it. In conclusion, I think they should make it 3 years full-time study and then do your exam. And then it would be worth it. And if you like this video, then click on one of these other ones related to the same topic.